Today's lesson is giving compliments and showing support. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Helen.
And we're going to be looking at some conversations today and in our next program. And these are conversations all about giving compliments and showing support. And also, I suppose we could say showing gratitude because somebody helped you out. And if you give a compliment to somebody, you say something nice about them, about something they've done, or about the clothes they're wearing, how they performed on a test or something. Hey, good job. You're really smart. I'm impressed. That would be an example of a compliment. And you also want to show support. If somebody is going to do something that they're nervous about, hey, you might encourage them by saying, oh, you're going to do a great job. I believe in you.
Right, so compliments and support are very close to one another. They have slightly different meanings, though. A compliment is something that you say to somebody to show your appreciation of them or to show that you admire them. A compliment could be superficial, like, I really like your skirt, I like your tie, or I like the way your hair looks today, or it could be deeper, like, I like the way you did that presentation. And support, as Roger mentioned, is basically something that you say or that you do to show that person that you are there for them if they need you and you are encouraging them in their efforts.
Very good. Okay, so let's begin our lesson. We've got a conversation here entitled Applauding Someone's Efforts. This is a conversation between Karen and Brian. And Brian, of course, is an aspiring actor, and Karen is trying to give him some support. So let's listen to the conversation right now.
Giving compliments and showing support. 1. Applauding someone's efforts. Karen runs into Brian in front of a coffee shop.
Hi, Brian. I'm glad I bumped into you. I saw the play last night and wanted to let you know that I thought you were fantastic.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so grateful that you came to watch.
Oh, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. And I know you used to struggle with stage fright. But you were so confident up there. You've really come a long way, and I applaud your efforts to overcome it.
Yeah, it was tough at first, but I managed to push through it.
Well, your hard work has really paid off, and I'm sure you'll have even greater success in the future.
Thanks, Karen. That means the world to me.
大家好，标题中我们来介绍名词 compliment。它的意思是赞美的话或是赞赏，也可以是致意的意思。例如 Davin was always paying her girlfriend compliments. Davin 总是给他女朋友许多赞美。又或者说 I gave Nancy a compliment about her new haircut. 我对 Nancy 的新发型表示赞赏。另外这个字也可以当作动词使用，意思是赞美或是恭维。例如Dana complimented her assistant on his improving performance. Dana 赞美他的助理表现不断进步。或者 The professor complimented me on the depth of my analysis in the final report. 那位教授对我期末报告中分析的深度表示赞赏。
So in the first conversation, titled Applauding Someone's Efforts, Karen runs into Brian in front of a coffee shop. So the two of them are walking down the street and they bump into each other in front of this coffee shop. And Karen says to Brian, Hi, Brian. I'm glad I bumped into you. I saw the play last night and wanted to let you know that I thought you were fantastic. So evidently, based on what Karen says, Brian was in a play, he's an actor, and Karen was there. She went to see the play. And she says to him, I'm glad I bumped into you. So when you bump into someone, you don't necessarily hit them with your body. It's not like they collided, crashed into each other, but they just saw each other in the street. It was a coincidence. That's what happens when you bump into somebody in the street.
You could also say you run into somebody. That could be an accident, of course. I ran into a tree yesterday and had to pay a lot of money to get my car fixed. But in this particular case, it just means you met somebody unexpectedly. And, of course, it depends on context here. But she does say she's glad that she bumped into him, that she ran into him, that she encountered him totally by accident. And then she gets right down to business. She says, hey, I saw the play last night that you were acting in, And I just wanted to tell you, I just wanted to let you know that I thought you were fantastic. I saw the play, I saw the job you did in the play, and I thought you did a really good job. You were fantastic.
And Brian replies, "Thank you, Karen. I'm so grateful that you came to watch." So that's a very appropriate reply to Karen because Karen didn't have to go to watch the play. Maybe she went to support her friend Brian. So he's showing his appreciation by saying, "Thank you, Karen. I am grateful that you were able to make it, that you saw the play."
And Karen says, "Oh, I wouldn't have missed it for the world," which means she wouldn't have missed it. Of course, she was going to go. She really wanted to encourage him. She wanted to see how he can act. And we often use this phrase for emphasis, for the world. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Nothing could have stopped me. Wild horses couldn't have kept me away.
And she continues, "And I know you used to struggle with stage fright, but you were so confident up there." So Karen is mentioning that she knows Brian used to be very nervous about performing on stage. That's what stage fright is. It's a feeling that you get especially right before you're supposed to go on stage to make a speech or to perform. All of a sudden, you feel really nervous. Maybe you break out in a cold sweat and you forget your lines. So Brian used to have this problem. And Karen says, even if that were the case, yesterday, you were really confident up there. You really looked like you knew what you were doing and that you had no fear. And she continues, "You've really come a long way, and I applaud your efforts to overcome it."
Right, so of course lots of people experience stage fright. It is quite scary to be up in front of a whole bunch of people, so he has struggled with that. But she could tell that he was confident, that he had self-assurance or self-esteem. He had the experience, so he knew what he was doing. And she says he's come a long way, which means he's improved a lot over a period of time. You have improved greatly, and I applaud your efforts to overcome it. So here we've got the verb to applaud, which most of the time means you clap your hands. Yay, good job. Oh, I really enjoyed the show. And you might shout as well. But here, applaud just means I really admire your effort. I really think you did a good job. I am impressed.
Yes, and Brian says, "Yeah, it was tough at first, but I managed to push through it." So he's agreeing with Karen and saying, yes, initially I did suffer from stage fright, and it was tough or it was very difficult at first, but I managed to push through it. So when you push through something, you force yourself to make progress to get over that thing that's holding you back. So in the case of Brian, stage fright was holding him back from becoming a successful or realized actor, but still he was able to push through it, which means he was able to get over that stage fright.
He was able to succeed even though it was a difficult situation. You might be out hiking and then suddenly it starts to rain really hard and you want to stop, but you realize, hey, we've got to finish this hike, otherwise we're in big trouble. We could get caught in a flash flood. We've got to push through. We've got to keep on going until we are successful. So yes, it was probably difficult for him when the play began. He was probably a little nervous, but as time went on, he got more and more confident and he pushed through it. And he did a really great job. And Karen says, well, your hard work has really paid off, and I'm sure you'll have even greater success in the future. So here the phrase to pay off just means you receive an award for your efforts. Okay, it was worth your time to spend time on this. It really pays off. A lot of times they say, hey, hard work pays off. If you work really hard, you will become successful in the future.
And Brian really appreciates Karen's encouraging words. So he says, thanks, Karen. That means the world to me. In other words, what Karen said was really important to Brian. So when somebody says something or does something for you that's really important to you or that you appreciate a lot, you could say that means the world to me. What you did means or meant the world to me.
Okay, so we finished with that conversation. Let's move on now to the second conversation, showing gratitude for assistance. In this conversation, we've got Eddie and Megan, and they are university classmates. Let's find out what they talk about. Let's listen first.
2. Showing gratitude for assistance. Eddie sees Megan in the cafeteria at their university.
Hey, Megan,
How did your presentation go?
It went much better than I expected, thanks to you.
I'm glad I could be of assistance. You put in a lot of effort, so I knew you'd do great.
I couldn't have done it without you. Your research ideas were invaluable, and your advice really boosted my confidence.
Don't mention it. I'm happy to help.
Well, I'm truly thankful for your support and guidance. Your input was instrumental in making the presentation much better than it would have been otherwise.
That's great to hear, and really, it was my pleasure.
第二部分我们看到单字 gratitude， 它是名词，指的是感激或是感谢。例如 Seth expressed his gratitude to Monica by taking her out to dinner. Seth 带 Monica 出去吃晚餐，以表达感激。又或者说 It's important to express gratitude to those who have helped you. 对帮助过你的人表达感谢是很重要的。再来我们看到形容词 invaluable， 指的是非常宝贵的或是极有用的。举例来说 Bob learned many invaluable lessons about life when he traveled to Europe by himself. Bob 独自去欧洲旅行时，学到了许多宝贵的人生教训。再举一个例子 The skills I learned while being mentored by Maria were invaluable to my work. 我在 Maria 的指导下学到的技能对我的工作非常宝贵。下一个我们看到动词 boost， 这个单字的意思是提高、增强或是改进。例如 An aggressive ad campaign boosted sales. 积极的广告活动提升了业绩。或是 Ellen boosts her immune system by regularly taking vitamin C. Ellen 借由定期服用维他命 C 来增强免疫力。另外，这个字也可以当作名词使用。例如 Hazel began taking Portuguese classes to give her confidence a boost before her visit to Brazil. 在去巴西之前 Hazel 开始上葡萄牙文课，以增强她的自信心。又或者说 If you need a boost of energy, there are chocolate bars in the kitchen. 如果你需要提高能量，厨房里有放一些巧克力棒。接下来我们看到名词 input， 这个单字的意思是想法或是意见。例如 Participants at the discussion are encouraged to give their input. 我们鼓励讨论的参与者提出想法。或是 The design of video games require input from the people who are playing them. 该电玩游戏的设计也需要玩家们的意见。最后，这个字也可以当作动词使用，意思是输入或是投入。例如 The researcher input the variables into the equation. 研究人员把变数输入公式中。又或者说 Donna inputted her username and password to gain access to the network. Donna 输入她的使用者名称和密码以登入网络。
So in the second dialogue, we have Eddie and Megan. Eddie sees Megan in the cafeteria at their university, and the title of this conversation is Showing Gratitude for Assistance. Gratitude is the feeling that you get when you're grateful or thankful to somebody for something that they did. So when you're grateful to someone, it's a good idea to show them that. Otherwise, they don't know you're grateful. Maybe they think you've taken advantage of them. So it's good to show your gratitude, to show that you are thankful. And here, Megan is showing gratitude to Eddie for his assistance.
Right, so maybe somebody gave you a good job recommendation and they hired you because of that, so you might want to express your gratitude to that person by giving them a cake or something like that. And so here, of course, we're talking about showing gratitude for someone's help. And Eddie sees Megan in the cafeteria at their university, and Eddie begins the conversation by saying, "Hey, Megan, how did your presentation go?" So, of course, in university, sometimes you need to give presentations to your class, and you need to do some research, you need to prepare. And, of course, when you give that presentation to your classmates, you're going to be very nervous, and you're going to be wondering if you're going to do a good job or not. So, yeah, how did your presentation go? Did it go well, or did you get nervous, or did you screw up or something? And Megan says, well, it went much better than I expected. thanks to you. So she wasn't expecting to do a really good job, but she says it was much better. It went much better than I expected, and that's all because of you. Thanks to you, you really did something that helped me a lot.
And Eddie replies, I'm glad I could be of assistance. You put in a lot of effort, so I knew you'd do great. So Eddie is basically saying that he is happy that he was able to help Megan. And he says, as a result, I'm glad I could be of assistance. To be of assistance means to be able to help somebody. And he adds that even though he was able to help Megan, Megan herself did a lot of work. She put in a lot of effort, so she wasn't slacking off because Eddie was helping her. She wasn't being lazy. And because of that, Eddie knew that she would do a good job on the presentation.
Right. She put in a lot of effort, or she worked very hard. She made her preparations. And so Eddie was confident that she would do a good job. I knew you'd do great. And Megan says, I couldn't have done it without you. So yes, indeed, she's thanking him. Hey, if it weren't for him, she would not have been able to do the good job that she did. Yes, I couldn't have done it without you. It's all thanks to you, or it's all because of you. And then she goes on to explain exactly why she could not have done it without him. Your research ideas were invaluable, and your advice really boosted my confidence. If something's invaluable, well, it's very valuable, and it doesn't even have a price tag on it. It's extremely valuable. It's extremely useful. And yes, these ideas were invaluable. And also, he gave her some advice. It boosted her confidence.
Yes, for the word invaluable, I could say as an example, traveling to a foreign country offers an invaluable experience. So, in other words, when you travel to a foreign country, the experience that you get from it is of very, very high value. You can get a lot from it. And as for the word boost, it's just another way to say to increase or to improve. So when Megan says that Eddie's advice really boosted her confidence, she is saying that her confidence increased or improved as a result of Eddie's advice.
I could say, for example, the government's policies really boosted the economy. It improved it greatly. As an example here, of course. And yes, he gave her some advice, and that really boosted her confidence. If he had not given her that advice, she may have not been so confident. It boosted her confidence, and Eddie says, don't mention it. You don't need to thank me. I'm happy to help. And Megan says, well, I'm truly thankful for your support and guidance. She's very thankful. She's very grateful for the support and guidance that he gave her. And she says, your input was instrumental in making the presentation much better than it would have been otherwise. So here we've got input, which means a contribution. So, of course, he offered her some advice, and he told her maybe what she should do. Maybe he had some experiences that he'd like to share with her that might be useful to her. So he had some input. He made some contributions here. And she says the input was instrumental. Instrumental means very useful, very important for something to happen.
Right. So input is a very general term, and it can cover help, advice, or professional knowledge. It's basically anything that can be contributed to a project or an organization or an individual. So you say to somebody, I appreciate your input, or I would like your input, when you just want that person's reaction to whatever it is that you're doing. And instrumental, of course, means important or having an important role in a particular process. And Megan is basically saying that Eddie's help or his input was very important in making the presentation much better than it would have been otherwise. So otherwise here means differently or in another way. So she's saying that without his help, the presentation would have been very different. And how would it have been different? It would have been much worse than it was without Eddie's help.
Right. So again, otherwise just means the opposite is true. I could say everybody thought the criminal was guilty, but Lisa felt otherwise. In other words, she did not think he was guilty. She was the only person who did not agree. And Eddie says, well, that's great to hear. I'm really happy to hear that. And really, it was my pleasure. I enjoyed helping you out. In fact, I probably got something out of it myself. And we both grew from this experience. And I guess Megan's presentation was a smashing success. Let's finish our program now by listening to Henny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。在课文第一部分的对话里， Karen 在称赞 Brian 的努力。他知道 Brian 以前常对上台感到害怕，但是昨晚他在台上却那么的有自信。 Karen 就有说了一句啦， You've really come a long way... 意思是你真的进步了很多诶。那么 come a long way 字面意思是走了很长的路，那用来表示说长足的进步，大幅进展，意指说某人或某事经历了大幅进展、改变，或是取得了很大的进步，那常常会用完成式来表达。例如 Tom's guitar skills have come a long way since last year. Tom 的吉他演奏技巧从去年以来已经进步很多了。好，那顺便补充几个跟 a long way 有关的用语。第一个是 a long way to go， 它表示很长的路要走，还有很多事要做，很多工作要做。例如 There's still a long way to go before we solve the problem completely. 在完全解决这个问题之前，还有很长的一段路要走呢。好，那第二个补充的是 go a long way， 它表示大有帮助。那么后面可以接 toward 或者是 towards， 要不要加 s 都可以，然后再加上动词 ing 去表达说对什么很有帮助，有助于达成什么什么。例如 regular exercise goes a long way towards reducing stress。规律运动对于减压很有帮助。好，再看到对话里面 Brian 他提到他设法克服了上台的恐惧，那 Karen 就对他说他说 Your hard work has really paid off， 意思是你的努力确实得到了回报。那这边要补充一下 pay off 的用法。好，第一种是 pay off 当不及物用的时候，表示取得好结果，取得成功，用来表达所做的事情有了回报，终于获得成功了，就像文中的用法。那例如 All of their hard work has finally paid off， 就是在表达他们所有的努力终于获得回报。第二个，我们用 pay off 当及物用的时候，它有清偿、偿还的意思，我们就可以用 pay something off 或者是 pay off something 去表达。例如 It took them 30 years to pay off their mortgage。他们花了30年的时间把房贷还清。好，那另外当 pay off 的受词是人的时候， pay somebody off 或者是 pay off somebody 则可以表达收买某人的意思哦。好，那以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Compliment. Kim thanked Leonard for the compliment he gave about her painting. Gratitude.He expressed his gratitude to all the people who helped make the event such a success. Boost.
The new commercials failed to boost the company's sales significantly.
Input. This decision is a difficult one for me, so I'd really appreciate your input on it. Otherwise. Writing poetry lets Grace express feelings that she wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoy reading along with us. I am Helen.
I am Roger.
See you next time.